The fact that you have a US visa is not a guarantee that you'll be admitted into the US. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jumoke Jeje and I am a travel content creator. So if this is your first time seeing my video, please don't forget to subscribe. And I just want to say a very special thank you to my subscribers, for my returning subscribers. You guys have been amazing. You guys have been supporting me, watching my videos, dropping comments and likes. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate. So today I want to share with you guys my USA port of entry experience. I think that it would be good to take it back to how everything happened. The way that I handled the whole US interview process, I handled it like I wouldn't say lackadaisical. I was just like, anything that's going to happen will happen. So I wasn't really feeling anxious or nervous. I was just really like optimistic. But a day to the interview, I became very anxious because I was just thinking about the possible questions that they would ask me, what they would expect from me. And the nerves just started kicking in. The day of the interview, no, before then, I was encouraging a few friends, telling them, don't worry, everything is going to come out fine. It's not just US. They'll just ask few questions because I've had friends that went as well. So I was just like, don't worry, they'll just ask you a few questions and that's all. Well, that day, immediately after the clearance at the entry inside the embassy itself, I became really nervous because I didn't know what to expect. But thankfully it came out well and that was it. So fast forward to my trip to New York. I didn't really know that after you do your interview at the embassy, that there is also going to be like a mini interview at the port of entry. I didn't know that. If I knew, I would have gone to do research to know the type of questions that they would ask and all of that. But I didn't know any of that. And before now, let me talk about the fact that I was already scared of the whole trip because my passport did not have like 6-month validity. So I was scared, would they let me in? Considering that my passport is just like 5 months to expiration. I was just really thinking about a lot of things that could go wrong, that could happen. But my friend had already told me that shouldn't worry, he's done his research, he's checked online. You could still enter the US with 3 months to 6-month valid passport. I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. So on the day of our departure, a lot was happening. Like, I was really thinking about the passport thing. I was thinking about it a lot, but knowing the kind of person that I am, I always do my thing like whatever will happen. So I was in my head, I'm already thinking of the things that would go wrong, that would go right. I sharp prepared my mind. So first of all, I started having like issues from the airport. Normally I am somebody that I always talk about how I've never had like a bad immigration experience. I've always had like a very smooth passage in all of the countries that I've visited. But this particular one, from the British Airways decks, I just checked in normal and everything went well. I got to the departure gate and tried to scan my barcode. The alarm just went off and it was just blowing up, and that was how some of the security came to me and they escorted me to one corner. I got to that corner and I noticed that my name was on a piece of paper and then they just ticked it, and I'm like, what's going on? But they took my passport, they scanned it, and they told me to follow somebody. In my head, I'm like, hey, what has happened? Because I'm thinking, is it that something is in my bag? No, is it my passport? I was just thinking about a lot of things. I got to the search room and the two ladies asked me to open my bag, and then they were just doing like search. I didn't understand it, but I asked the lady why they were like searching me, considering that I was the only one there. And they said, no, that is just a routine check. It's just something that they do, that I shouldn't worry, that is nothing serious. They searched and they asked me to go. When I got inside the plane, I quickly went to my friend, because we were traveling as a group and I was the group coordinator. So I quickly went to my friend and I'm like, I don't know, they searched, but she was like, oh, they also searched them. I'm like, okay, then that means it's not my passport. I was already thinking that the reason they were searching me was because of my passport, but alas, it wasn't because of my passport. It was just a routine check that they had to carry out, and it was so unfortunate that I was among the people that they had to search. So we traveled 8 hours long flights, and then we got to the US, and nobody prepared me for this particular experience. So the fact that you have a US visa is not a guarantee that you'll be admitted into the US. So this is something that you should know, so that whenever you're going for your US interview, you make sure that you're giving the right information, because the custom border officers, they will ask you questions at the port of entry. So you need to have it at the back of your mind that whatsoever information you are giving at the embassy regarding your travel is the same, that you are able to prove it and corroborate it as well at the port of entry. So we got to the port of entry and then we joined the queue. The queue was really long, but I mean, I was with my friends, I was with a group, so we're really excited to tour New York, to enjoy New York, but I did not prepare myself for a mini interview or any sort of interview at all. And you know how if you are leaving the UK and you're coming inside the UK, they will just ask you like, where are you coming from? And then you say the country that you're coming from. They will just ask you how long you stay for, and then you tell them, and that is it. First of all, I noticed something when I was in the queue. I noticed that this particular border officer that we were queued to, go to, was asking a lot of questions. I noticed there was this Nigerian guy. He was on student visa, and the guy just kept asking him questions. At a point, he asked him to open his bag. The guy was searching through his bag. I was scared. I'm like, what kind of question would this guy possibly be asking? Later on, the guy was able to answer the question and he left, and it was my turn. I went to him and he asked me my name, and then he bombarded me with a lot of questions. And I'm like, what is this? Normally if I'm approaching like border officers, I will go all smiley, all sweet, just smile to them and all of that. I did the same thing, and this guy was even smiling back at me, but he was just asking like a lot of questions. In short, he asked more difficult questions compared to the one that I was asked at the embassy. Very importantly, the border officer asked me for my return ticket. He asked me if I have a return ticket, and I said yes, and he asked me to show him. So I went through my email and I showed him, and he was like, this is not the one. First of all, I was smiling. I was answering all these questions. I was smiling. But when he said this is not the one, in my head, I'm like, I don't have any other one. This is my return. I booked this flight myself. I was like, no. We're already like 5 minutes gone. That was when it dawned on me that this is serious. So I started looking frantically through my email. I brought out another one and I showed him, and he was like, okay, this is the right one. And then he asked me where I would be staying, and I mentioned the name of the hotel, and he said, which of the hotel? And I said, I've not been to New York before. This is my first time in New York. This is the hotel. And he said I should show him my hotel reservation. And I'm like, hey, this is a group trip, Baba. I'm like, this is a group trip, and the hotel has been reserved. At that point, I had to like say, excuse me, sir, these are members of my group. We're all going together, because I can also see my friends and every other person, like their line was moving, they'd gone. I'm like, these are my friends, we're all staying together, it's a travel agency, so the hotel was already booked. And I was just explaining myself, and he was like, okay, so what do you do in the UK? I told him my job. How long have you been working there? I told him. He asked me what that, I said this thing is crazy, because he noticed that my friend was standing at my back. So he asked me what is my friend's name, what's my friend's job. Like, I told him, and then he asked me how long I'm staying for. And then he asked me what I was doing in Nigeria before I relocated to the UK and how long I've been in the UK. And I was just answering all his questions. But at that moment, I was already like feeling nervous. I was already feeling uneasy about the whole thing, because that was not how I envisaged it to go. And that was not, I didn't expect that I was going to have like a mini interview. And this is actually very important that you know as well, especially if you are planning to travel to the US, either through school or you're going for a visit. It's actually important for you to prepare yourself for that kind of situation, because anything can go wrong. And I've heard people talk about how a lot of people were turned back at the port of entry because they were not able to prove one or two things and their visas were cancelled. So that is not something that you would want for yourself. So it's actually important that before you embark on that journey, that you prepare yourself. Let me be sincere, I didn't actually search for videos online to see possible questions that they would ask. But after the experience, I went online to see, and I saw a couple. But I just really wanted to put this one out as well, to just share my experience and also to encourage you to, you know, make sure that every information you gave during your visa interview is the same information that you will give at the port of entry. Okay, so 2 things to note before you embark on your journey to the US. Make sure that you have your return tickets booked for. I don't know about students, but I know that if you are traveling like a visitor, make sure you have a return flight ticket booked, and make sure that you have an hotel reservation. You have your hotel booked as well. They may ask you how much you have on you and how much you intend to spend on that day, and even ask you to, you know, show them your bank statement. I wasn't asked that, so make sure that that's something that you have as well. I actually wrote down a few questions that they may ask you at the port of entry. Questions to expect at the border, purpose of your visit. So if you are visiting, if you're going on vacation, they would ask you that, and you know, you have to say that, because during your interview you said you were going for vacation or tourism, so that is your purpose of visits. Okay, and then they will ask you as well if you've been to the United States before, and then they will ask you where you will be staying. So that is something that you should know, because in my own time I said where the hotel I will be staying in New York. I didn't bother to check the address because I didn't know that is something that I'm supposed to have in my head. Okay, so make sure that you know where you'll be staying, and make sure that you have it and you know the address. Because so I mentioned the name of the hotel, but the custom border officer, he just kept talking about that's not the place. And I'm like, this is my first time here, I really don't know. He said that there are a lot of Marriott hotels in that New York, so I need to know whether it's South End, North End, it's East End, First Avenue, Second Avenue, all the avenues. So I need to like know the exact location, but I didn't have that. So that's something that you should definitely have. Make sure that you know the address of where you are going. And if you are going to spend time with your family, make sure that that's something that you said during your visa. I don't know why I'm emphasizing on this, but I think that it's actually important that you corroborate whatever that you said at your visa interview. So make sure that if your family is coming to pick you, or if you're going to stay with your family, make sure this is something that you also said as well. And then how long you'll be staying. So if it's 5 days, if it's 10 days, make sure that you know how long you'll be staying, and then your return ticket and your hotel reservation is also able to prove that as well. So guys, that was my experience. I didn't know that there was going to be like a mini interview, but it wasn't really bad. It was okay, and I had so much fun in New York. So if you're planning to visit the US anytime soon, make sure that you have all of this information, have all of your documents handy as well. Thank you so much guys for watching this video, and if you are yet to subscribe, please subscribe to my channel, and also drop comment for me. Let me know if you have any information, anything else you would like me to share. Please put it in the comment section and I'll be right there to answer you. Thank you so much guys, and see you in my next video. Bye. Bye.